So it's a touchy subject, not to me, but I've been called everything under the sun, all my life. My skin is thick, you know. Call it what you will. Um, so, racism, racist, racial slurs. Racial slurs did not originate from out of my mouth. Racial slurs, as if, like, as if you've never said one growing up. As a real little kid, we used to tell white man, black man, Chinese man jokes, or white man, black man, Mexican jokes, etc. Even fact being, the circle of kids that I attended school with were of all different race, telling the same jokes to one another, all different race, and laughing together, right? Okay. Some might take offense, but no one ever got lynched. These things were taught by design to appear as normality, okay and fine. Stereotypes taught to be accepted. Adolescence mentality don't really, classify this till after 6th grade. From as far back as describes of the Ten Commandments, man has set a moral compass to follow morals and values throughout life. Just as it was established for humane way of living, it is not always practiced or followed to the T. Roots of European racism lie in the slave trade, colonialism, Atlantic slave trade, transatlantic slave trade, or Euro-American slave trade involved the transportation by slave traders of various enslaved American people, mainly to the Americas. The slave trade regularly used the triangular trade route and the Middle Passage and existed from the 16th to the 19th century. The major Atlantic slave trading nations ordered by trade volume were the Portuguese, the British, the Spanish, the French, the Dutch, the Danish. Several had established outposts on African coast. Now, this is where it gets tricky to me. It was the summer of 1619 when a ship arrived at port in Virginia carrying about 20 Africans who were chained up to be sold as slaves. Its reality is tied into the idea that African people aren't really human beings. They are more like animals than human beings. A beast of burden could be bought and sold to be thrown overboard ships and literally had no rights. And this is your text, your script, your scriptures. Their word is born. So I know the next sentence is a lie. Double think. Trickery. They say they would purchase slaves from the local African leaders. These slaves were managed by a factor who was established or near the coast to expedite the shipping of the slaves to the New World. Slaves were imprisoned in factories while awaiting shipment. Current estimates are that 12 million to 12.8 million Africans were shipped across the Atlantic over a span of 400 years. The number purchased by the traders was considerably higher as the passage had a high death rate, with approximately 1.2 to 2.4 million dying during the voyage, and millions more in season caps. In the Caribbean, after arrival in the New World, millions died as a result of slave trade. I'm sorry. I lost my place because of my computer. These computers got a mind of their own. When they don't want to hear what you're saying, they just kind of go where they going with it and don't let you get there. But like I was saying, in the Caribbean, after arrival in the New World, millions died as a result of slave raids, wars, and during transport to the coast for sale to the European slave traders. Near the beginning of the 19th century, various governments acted to ban the trade, although illegal smuggling still occurred in the early 21st century. Several governments issued apologies for the transatlantic slave trade between the 16th and 1800s. Approximately 300,000 sellers engaged in the slave trade visited West Africa. In doing so, they came into contact with societies living along the West African coast, meaning they were already there, and in the Americas, which they had previously encountered. So, as you see, like I said, Europeans, the overseers, just wanted to rob, rape, and pillage the land everywhere. Steal all the gold which was in West Africa and the maritime route to the Indies. India, during the first wave of the European colonization, naval explorations were led by libertarian conquistadors, European nationalities, including sailors from Spain, Portugal, France, and Great Britain, the Italian kingdoms, and the Netherlands. The exploration between the Old and New Worlds, producing the Columbian Exchange, started the global silver trade from the 16th to the 18th centuries and led to the direct European involvement. The Chinese porcelain trade. It involved the transfer of goods unique to the hemisphere to another Europeans. Europeans brought cattle, horses, and sheep to the New World, and from the New World, Europeans received tobacco, potatoes, tomatoes, and maize. Other items were tobacco, sugarcane, cotton, along with gold and silver brought from the American continent, not only to Europe but elsewhere in the Old World. 15th century slavery had existed in